Welcome to the Build Your Beautiful Business podcast with your host, Julie C. Butler. If you're looking to build the business of your dreams, then this is the space you want to be in. Join Julie as she talks about ways that you can successfully scale your profitable dream business, one that will give you ultimate time freedom and the abundant lifestyle you deserve. Julie will take you by the hand, sharing with you her business savvy strategies as she chats it up with her favorite online entrepreneurs. You'll get a weekly dose of boosted confidence as you learn as they reveal their insight, tips, and tools that you need to start building a profitable dream business of your own, one that you'll love and that works for you on autopilot. Hey there, welcome back to the BBB Summit. Today on the show, we have the beautiful Gabrielle Hayes on the show. So Gabrielle is the founder of Sequence Partners, is a visionary leader in product career empowerment. Her career, rooted in product development, is marked by consistent excellence. Gabrielle embarked on a transformative journey of self-discovery, embracing her identity as a Renaissance woman after trauma turned her life upside down. Fueled by her unwavering passion for innovation, she navigates complex business challenges with creativity. Motherhood honed her advocacy skills, and she now champions career growth with resilience. Gabrielle is an advocate for aligning careers with core values, using personal experiences to guide others on a journey of empowerment and self-discovery. She serves as an inspiration to those who aspire to achieve harmony between their careers and personal lives. Her journey is a testament to the power of intentionality, growth, and resilience in pursuit of one's true calling. Hey there, welcome to the show, Gabrielle. I'm so happy to have you today. I can't wait to have a conversation with you. And today was actually the first time we met in person.
Yes, I'm so excited. We've been connected through kind of this weird spider web in multiple ways. So it's exciting to actually get to meet with you.
I know. It's funny when you start you know so many people online, but never had the conversation. And I love it when I'm a people person and I love having conversations with people, and you get to connect more, right? And you get to know the other person and what they do and everything. And it's just helpful to remember, in such a busy place of all of these entrepreneurs, right?
Yeah. And I think, I'm finding too, so many of us, even despite living completely different lives, have so many things in common that you just don't know until you sit down and start to have a proper conversation.
I know. I find every time I start talking to someone, it's I have never expectations because I always wherever the conversation takes me, right? And then you kind of you find these mutual things that you have in common, or I don't know, just stuff, right? And it's just so cool to be able to. That's why I love so much doing the podcast, because I get to meet so many amazing people that I never kind of would have a conversation with if I didn't, right?
Yeah, it's incredible. I love what podcasting has done for just networking and being able to meet new people.
Yeah. You know what I was thinking the other day too? I'm I should have a few people on the podcast. How fun would that be, right?
Oh, like a panel. That'd be fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I love panels. Panels are awesome. Just finished my summit. coming off of a summit with panels. Anyway. Enough about that. But today we're going to talk about fully embracing your superpowers to make your business yours. And I love this so much. I love this topic. And I think that, if there was a sort of business school that we could have when we start our businesses, this is definitely something that needs to be at the top of the list, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But before we get started, Gabrielle, I'd love for you to introduce yourself.
Yeah, certainly. So my name's Gabrielle Hayes. I am a project manager turned product manager by trade. And so that sent me down a really windy career path that also sent my businesses through quite a few twists and turns, which is how I kind of got to this learning to embrace my superpower and then turning around to teach others to do that also. Because I think it's something we should do sooner in life rather than later. I'm also a wife. I'm a mom. I was telling Julie before we started recording, I'm starting to embrace kind of full digital nomad life and seeing what that looks like. So that's been a fun adventure this year. And I just love, much like you, Julie, getting to meet especially other women in business, because I truly believe we do business differently. And I truly believe we embrace taking care of others in a different way. And so it's exciting to me to just continue to see more and more women step into their entrepreneurial spirits.
I love it. Who knows? Maybe you'll move to Costa Rica and we'll be neighbors.
Hey, nothing's off the table for us. So you never know.
You never know. You never know, right? And I think it's the beauty of it, right? Like it's the same thing with business. Like you just never know where your business is going to bring you. And so I think that it's so important to be open, right, to receiving messages, right, from the universe and stuff like that. Like, because sometimes you get like you get a curveball or you get thrown into a different direction. And I think it's important to embrace that and to explore sometimes, right? Because sometimes what we think we're going to do ends up being completely different.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I run two separate businesses and both of them have taken multiple pivots or iterations. And there would be a point in time in my life where I would feel like that in itself was a failure, right? Like I launched this business and I didn't launch it with the right thing, or I didn't launch it the right way. But instead, I think it's freedom to say, I'm not married to any decision that I can't look at other alternatives. And so it's been fun because it's like I'm never doing the same thing every day, because it's always changing and I'm always learning.
Yeah. You know what I love? Like I was talking to one of my really good friends, and she's in Canada and my son's in Canada right now. And she took him out for shopping and lunch and everything. And she said to me, she said, Cameron's so cute. And she said, he's living day by day, just living in the now and not focusing and worrying about what the future is going to bring. I'm like, wow, my 18-year-old already thinks like that. How amazing is that? Right. And how incredible would it be that more of us can do that, and instead of worrying about what the future holds and just being in the now, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's so incredible for him. Like I think about all the years of my life that I say I missed. Obviously I was there, I was present, but I was so worried about what was next. And I was so worried about focusing on this certain success metric or hitting this certain goal that I missed out on really accepting and enjoying my life. And so I love that your son's already doing that. And my middle child, she's 6, and we kind of have to say the same thing about her. Like we just did this social media series about we call her Sassy, Live Like Sassy Week, because everything she does is just here and now, and almost daily she'll tell me, this is the best day ever. And I'm like, yes, it is. As long as you make it that way, girl, it's whatever day you want it to be.
I love that. That's so cute. I want to meet Sassy.
Yeah, she is fun for sure.
Yeah. So, okay, but then there's like the whole societal norms of being told we're too much, and right, like, so how can we like overcome that and truly embrace our superpowers?
Yeah, I think, one, you have to be honest with yourself that you probably are going to show up different than societal norms, and you have to be okay with that. I always said I have a confidence issue because I struggled with that so much, because I just wanted to be like everyone else. Everyone else was making friends or doing good in their business. So I always thought I had to be like them. But I will tell you, there was an incredible freedom when I finally said, F it. I don't care. I am who I am, and I'm proud of her. So if I'm proud of her, everyone else can be, or you can get out of the way.
Yes, preach, girl, preach.
Yeah. And I think on top of that too, it's accepting that you're ever evolving. For me in particular, I found human design this year, and that completely transformed how I show up in my own life, but also how I show up in my business. Because now I understand why I think the way I do, or why I react the way I do. And so, I think being open to other conversations or other experiences that you may not have been brought up or you may not have ever seen may really be the key to saying like that light bulb moment, to realizing why you are who you are.
Isn't human design amazing? That's funny you talk about that and bring it up, because same with me. Like I was able to, wow, like learn so much about me and acknowledge and accept the way I do things in life and in business. And so it's so much easier now to like let go of stuff that we feel bad about or guilty or whatever, right? But I was talking to Abigail, and we were talking about human design just last week. I had the podcast interview with her. So it's so cool that you bring it up, but it can really open up your eyes and give you a new perspective on who you are and the way that we are kind of, I guess, designed to do things. And sometimes if something comes up, right, like I'll be like, no, it's not my human design, this is how I do it. It's not in my DNA.
Yep. Yeah. And I think, for me, the biggest thing was awareness. Awareness and how I show up in situations, awareness and how I react. Like I was a super highly reactive person, and I still am very type A. So I still am working on that. But, and it doesn't have to be human design. I'm certainly aware that for some people that's too woo woo, or that's too like way out there, but find what it is that you're willing to like explore, because the more awareness you have over who you are and how you show up in situations, it really helps you to transform, how you kind of continue to show up in the world. And it makes you just want to keep growing, because then you start to see like, oof, I didn't show up the way I wanted to in that situation. Now I know how I can do it different next time around.
I love that. I love it. I'm like listening to you, and at the same time, I'm watching Oreo in the background.
Oh my gosh, Oreo, what a sweet name for him. I love that.
Yeah, he's black and white, right?
Look, he's like, you're talking about me, Mom.
Yeah. Okay, back to it. So how do you embrace the blend of your personal and professional life now that you're a business owner? Because, sometimes like we start our businesses and then we're like, life is busy enough. Like, how do we embrace it and blend? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's hard. It's definitely hard. And I, never want to negate that. When I talk to people who are considering going out on their own or starting their own business, there is a reality to the hardness of what we do. And for me, one of the hardest challenges was boundaries with my own self. There wasn't, and I know with remote work, a lot of us went through this anyway, right? Like work is now home with you, so you just can work whenever. But then when it's your business, I think it's like next level, because even if I don't have anything to work on at night, my ideas are flowing, my thoughts are flowing, I'm getting into creative vibe. And so I think the hardest challenge for me around keeping barriers was, one, making sure that I was intentionally scheduling family time. And for some people that might feel too rigid, but for me, I needed my mind to be like, okay, this is like another meeting on your calendar. You are checking out of this situation and moving into this other situation. But on the flip side of that, the beauty of owning my own business means if I want that family time to be at 10 a.m. on a Wednesday, it can be. It doesn't have to just be at 4 o'clock in the afternoon when everyone's coming back from school craziness, So it's like, I do appreciate that freedom and that flexibility. And I will tell you, one of my proudest moments is that I built both of my businesses very publicly with my kids around. They knew what was going on. They knew I would be traveling for work or working long hours. And this summer, my 12-year-old won his first CEO pitch competition. And now he's won more money in pitch competitions than I have. And so, I'm really proud to see that entrepreneurial spirit carry on, because I've shown them, yes, it's hard, but it's definitely rewarding and worth it.
Yeah. And it's totally worth it, right? Like, especially if you figure out like what your superpower is and what you are passionate about. And when you're passionate about doing the thing, like whatever your business is, I see where it can get so easy to like get all of these ideas and right, like, and it's just that we're creative beings, right? And so we have multi-passionate, right? Most of us, and the ideas just kind of flow, and we sit there in the shower, or when we go to bed, or when we're doing dishes or whatever. But also, I love what you say, right? Like, it's so important to set proper boundaries. And, when you leave your computer, because sometimes your office may be in the living room, or it might be in the kitchen, or it might be in the bedroom, right? To actually turn it off, like, and I don't mean like turn it off with the button. I mean, like, turn it off in your brain, right? Like, shut it off. Like, usually, like, on the weekends, it's off, like, it's shut off. Like, do I occasionally think about it? Of course. And then sometimes it's like, if my husband's gone golfing or whatever, I'm like, oh, this would be a good time to, do a little bit of work. But I save that time for, like, projects that are more fun, like designing or whatever, like
Yes.
wherever your creativity lies, right? I don't have small children anymore. So for me, that's kind of like my mommy time, right? But for you still have little ones. So for you, that might look completely different. And I think that that's okay. Like, it's allowing yourself to be okay with shutting it off, but also, if you feel like working on the weekend, do it. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, right? But setting boundaries is so important, because we see it all the time, right? Like, people live in their businesses, and that's not healthy either, right?
Yeah. And I will say too, I came from, leadership positions in the corporate world before I went out on my own. And so honestly, one of the best things that it took me months and months and months to finally accept was no one was looking for me. So like, if I went out to dinner, even before, when I wasn't at work, I'd have my phone with Slack readily available in case anyone needed me, So it's like, I was never there at dinner, or I was never there when we were mini golfing or whatever it was. But now it's like, no one's looking for me. So I can literally leave my phone in the car or leave it at home, or like, it just doesn't matter. And so I think that's another benefit of a business that, like, we don't talk about, because so much of it's like, well, yeah, you have to work 24/7. Well, of course you do. It's yours. You own it. You're responsible for it. But that also means, no one's looking for you 24/7 to respond to their messages constantly, which is nice.
Yeah. And honestly, normally, most of the time, probably 99.9% of the time, nothing's an emergency, right?
Yeah, I come in from the product development background with software, and, that's in general, I think, a pretty high intense, industry. And I would tell my teams all the time, we're not doing hard surgery here, people. Like, someone is not literally dying on our table. Someone may lose some money, someone's ego may get hurt, someone may be pissed off, but in general, like, we are not affecting people's lives. So, like, just take a step back and breathe for a minute,
Yeah, yeah. And with the proper email reply, right? You can set it up and have your boundaries in there, right? Like just say, you check your emails once a day. That's in the morning, and it's, whatever time, and you don't on the weekends. Like, it's okay to do that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh, I
totally.
love that you share that message, Julie, because I think also, I mean, even if you're still in the corporate world, many times I, think about maybe going back at some point. And I think that's really important. We've been conditioned, some of it our own choices, I think, but like, we've been conditioned to be always available and always responsive. And I love that you bring that up, Julie, because I'm seeing it more and more too, like, especially more creative industries, their email will say, my standard response time is 48 hours. If you need something urgently, this is how you get a hold of me, but please don't expect that I'm responding right away. And I'm always like, yes, kudos,
right?
For like
saying
how it really is,
I know. And I've even seen, and my coach does this, in her email notification, her email reply, it says, if you're contacting me about the podcast, I'm not taking applications or whatever. You can add whatever you want to tell people into you. Like if you get the same questions often enough, or if you don't take guests to be on your podcast, or if you're, like, you can put that in your reply, right?
Yeah, that out of office message auto send has a lot more benefits than just telling people you're on vacation.
Exactly. So use it, but it's so easy to set our boundaries in there. And I don't know that not a lot of people do that. And actually, now that we're talking about this, I think I should modify mine.
Yeah.
But
Note to self.
right, right. But you know what? That's important too. And some of you listening, you might be coaches already, or you might be like a coach in the making. You're gonna become a coach or start coaching packages or whatever that looks like. You please do not be available for your clients all the time. Like the coaches that I've worked with are available like typically once a day, like if there's Voxer, or email or however you communicate with your clients, make that clear to them. And they're not going to say, oh my God, well, I'm not going to work with you because you're not available 24/7, right? Like that doesn't happen. You respect them enough, like the student of the person of the coach who hires the coach, right? You're like, okay, cool. Like I know that, if I ask her a question at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, chances are I'm probably not going to get a reply till tomorrow, right? Expect that, your coaches or even, group programs and stuff like that. Like, they're not on call 24/7, and nor should you be, right? It's okay to set clear like boundaries around the times that you're going to be checking in with your students or your clients, right?
Yeah. And I think, the key to what you just shared, right, is expectation setting. I think also as you're going into this, especially if you're just launching your business or getting ready to launch your business, you just set that expectation out of the gate. This is how this is how we communicate together. This is when I'm available. This is how you reach me, whatever it may be. Because 9 times out of 10, like you said, people are not going to choose not to work with you because they can't contact you 24/7, but they will get pissed off if they think they have that access and they go to message you and they don't get a response. But if you've set the expectation out of the gate, this is how, how you reach me, this is how often I respond, then they know when they send a message, they know what to expect. So there's like that anger or that frustration tends to go away.
Yeah. And you know what? For reals, like also they're humans and stuff happens, right? So if you're a coach and you're having a bad day or you're sick or it's your husband's birthday and you're taking the day off, you are allowed.
And take it off, like actually be off, be unavailable, and go enjoy yourself.
Exactly. Or your kid's birthday or whatever. Or you just want to take the day off and go shopping, or go to the spa. It's your business, your rules. Go do the thing if you want to do the thing. Right now, I'm not saying do that every day, but we have to give our clients some of us.
My husband's funny too. Like he's even learned if it's like 2-3 o'clock and I'm like, I'm out, I'll be back in a couple hours. He's like, oh, it's been a day. She just needs to go walk around outside, or she's going to go get her nails done, or she's going to just go look at TJ Maxx or whatever it may be. Right. But he's like, okay, she's doing what she needs to cope through what's gone on. And then she'll be back to normal programming. And it's nice because you have that freedom as long as you set those expectations.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. I was saying Gabrielle at first, but it's Gabrielle, right?
Yep, you got it.
and I don't know why I'm saying Gabrielle. I was like, I'm French, right? So Gabrielle makes more sense.
You were just trying to fit it in the American way.
Yes, Okay, so what is your top tip for someone to get started as a business owner? Because, some of us, and even if I think that this applies to you, even if you started your business, but you're not really going anywhere. Like, I think this applies to all of us, or if you're like pivoting in your business, right? Like this can apply as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just went through a big pivot myself, literally just a month ago. So I feel that very deeply. But my best tip is honestly, just get out there and do it. I am a firm believer in there are no true failures. There are just lessons from whatever you think you may have failed from. And so every decision that I made leading up to launching my business or leading up to my pivot, those decisions were made from the data or the information that I had available at the time. But that doesn't mean that I made a wrong decision. I just did what the best I could with what I had. And so, I will say, don't put that pressure on yourself to feel like you have to know every package you're going to offer, every pricing you're going to offer, every way you're going to communicate with your clients. Like, there's so much flexibility and freedom. And, to me, I come from this, product background where everything's an experiment. So I always say, like, take advantage that you're this small, tiny business that can pivot really quickly, and you don't need everyone's buy-in, and you don't need the whole world to sign off on it. And so you actually have a huge advantage to just get out there and get started and keep learning as you go.
Yeah, I love that. And learning as we go. That's so important, right? Because you can never stop learning, right? Like our businesses, our websites, everything that we do, life, right? It's one of those things that's going to keep evolving. We're going to keep getting better. We're going to learn new skills. It's like a revolving door, right? Like, and never feel bad because you think you should have it figured out by now and you don't. Because I don't think that we ever do, right? Because like when you get to a place where you think you may have it together, something else pops up and it's like, oh, okay, right? Like, so it's important to, I think, let go of the outcome. And like we were saying earlier, like live in the now, right? Like be present and live in the now and do the things that feel in alignment and get out there and do it. I think that too many of us spend so much time, and I love that Denise DT says this in her book. She says, you procrastinate, right? We spend all, I know she says it and I'm like, oh my God, this is hilarious because I am guilty of that, right? Like working on your website until it's perfect or on a sales page or right. Plus I'm a graphic, like I'm not a graphic designer, but I'm an artist. Like I'm like really visual, right? So beautiful things is like me, right? But I've learned that I cannot spend all of my time working on a sales page. I will come back to it. I get it to good enough and I get it out there and do the things and make the sales, right? Because if we spend all of our time behind the scenes doing the things that we think are going to bring us money, but we're not actually out there sharing, doing, selling, right? Like you said, then, we're going to get upset because, success is not coming as fast as we want it to. We start comparing and we get stuck and all the things, right?
Yeah, I just actually was at a conference last week and there was a graphic designer who was talking about websites, and she just like made this statement and it hit me in my soul. Because I too, like, I get lost in the pretty and like, okay, I'll just keep tweaking on Canva for 800 days if you let me, But she said, your website's never done, literally never done. You should keep changing it as you get more responses from clients or more feedback. You should be changing it all the time to be using the words that they're using or changing with the industry. And I know that's a silly statement, but it was almost like this pass for me. And it was like, okay, you're right. It's okay that I released it and I didn't love it or I wasn't in love with the exact design. But is the information there? Can someone make a decision with it? Do they know how to contact me? Like, are the basics there? Great. Then I'll just keep working on it in my free time.
Exactly. And that's what I do too. And actually, like if you're like me, and it sounds like you're like me, Gabrielle, I think that, working on my website is actually a reward. Right?
Yeah. When I did my rebrand, I remember building my website and I just was like, the words are perfect, like it's literally conveying what I want it to convey and it's saying what I'm in alignment with. And yes, it's like this reward to see. It's a very physical, visual version of your superpowers. And so it's fun to see that come to life.
Awesome. Okay. So last question. Have you always fully embraced your superpowers in your business? But, let's go back a little bit. Like, what do you mean by your superpowers in your business?
Yeah. So for me, what that means is allowing this very personal healing side of me to enter my business. And, a prime example of have I always embraced that and versus now? No, I didn't. When I first launched my business, I launched as a consulting firm because I was working full time at a consulting firm. And I was like, oh, well, I can do this on my own. And I did. And for 2 years, it was very successful. I had, amazing clients, but something was still missing, because my superpower is real, in my eyes, is really the ability to empower someone to embrace what they want to become. And for me, a career is important. So I married those two things. I married this, very professional, technical industry that I really love with telling people you have a choice. You have a choice in how you show up. You have a choice in what kind of job you take. You have a choice in what your career path looks like. And then let's find where those two things marry and grow together. But I'll tell you, I had to go through that myself first before I was willing and able to help others. Because otherwise I was just showing up consulting, but I wasn't changing things for these teams, right? Like I was maybe making their process better or helping them get a release out the door, but I wasn't making an impact. And that's what's important to me. But for other people, getting the software released, that is their impact. That is their superpower. That is what they love. And so that's what I want people to know is it's okay. Even if you have two people with the exact same job sitting next to each other, you two are going to show up differently because you're different human beings. And that's what makes teams incredible, because we have all these different personalities and traits that come together that make us whole.
Awesome. I love that. And I think too, I'm just thinking about like people who are still trying to figure out what that is. That's okay, right? Like it's okay to not know at this right moment, right now. I think that sometimes by just going out there and doing things that fuel us, it will come to us, right? Like it will happen.
Yeah, certainly. And that's how I created the career alignment blueprint. And I think you're going to share the link, but that's exactly what I created it for, is because so many of us, what is you grow up, get married, have kids, buy a house, get this career, grow it forever, and then retire. And not that there's anything wrong with any step of that equation, except there's one giant piece missing: intentionality. Did you slow down enough to decide what you actually want to be when you grow up, in quotations, right? And so that's exactly what I did, is I encourage people to slow down, spend reflective time with yourself, and spend time thinking about what are your core values? What roles are you carrying in your life now? And are they roles you want to continue carrying? And how do you want to show up? And I think once you do that, and then you're really comfortable with yourself and who you are, then you can start to say, okay, I want a job that's fast-paced, high stress environment, maybe, because when I'm home, I'm very opposite. Or maybe it's the opposite way around. Home is very stressful for me right now. So when I go to work, I need slower pace, and also, like you said, it's okay if you don't know it now. And it's also okay if it changes. Like none of us have to pick this career and stay in it forever. You're allowed to grow, and you're allowed to pick a career that grows with you.
Mm-hmm. I love that. So let's talk about the career alignment blueprint, because you just talked about that. And I'm like, oh, that's a perfect segue into sharing that. So yes, definitely the link to that will be in the show notes. So make sure you download it. But so what is your blueprint?
Yeah. So it's kind of this reflective journal that I've put together from the questions that I've had to ask myself and help my clients ask themselves to really figure out what career is right for them. And so the goal is, some people run through it in an entire day. Some people do a section a day. It's kind of whatever feels adaptable to you and how much time you want to spend with it. And really, it's just this place to kind of get out of your own heart and your own mind and really get it out on paper as to who you are and who you want to be. And then at the very end of it, you kind of go through all these roles and you come out with this prioritized list that say these roles, A, I want to keep them in my life, and B, they bring me good, positive feelings. So I'm going to prioritize those in my life. And then you may have some that are like they're necessities, but they have negative feelings. Oftentimes that's a job, right? Like I need a job, but I don't love what I'm doing. So then it really encourages you to pay attention to that. how is that job making you feel? And now what changes can we make to transform that? Sometimes it's same company, different job. Sometimes it's different industry altogether. There's lots of things. So you kind of leave with this prioritized list of how do you start showing up in this world to really support your happiness and your joy.
Awesome. I love it. So I'll have the link to that in the show notes. So make sure you download that. So Gabrielle, this has been such an awesome conversation. I love everything that we talked about. And I'm sure we could go on for all day because it's that one topic that you can just not talk about nonstop, right? But hey, if people are totally, feeling the vibes with you, where can we find you and how can we work with you?
Yeah, certainly. So I'm most active on LinkedIn. So you can find me there, Gabrielle Hayes. I'm also on Instagram at highly.inquisitive. And so there's a couple ways, obviously starting with the career alignment blueprints, what I'm going to recommend everyone to do, and that's free. So please, by all means, do that. And then if you feel like you need more one-on-one support as you're preparing for career change or jobs, I do a lot of interview prep and resume and LinkedIn, changes for people's profiles. So that's how I often work with most of my clients.
Awesome. And I'll have the links to all of that in the show notes as well. So make sure you give Gabrielle a follow and, also just tell us that if you enjoyed this episode, we want to hear from you. So thanks again, Gabrielle. It's been so nice chatting with you today.
Thanks, Julie. I had such a great time with you.
Awesome. And if you're listening to this, I'll chat with you on the next episode.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Build Your Beautiful Business podcast. If you did, please make sure to subscribe, rate, and review the show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Julie's included a link in the shows to make it nice and easy for you. And if you want to create a beautiful, profitable business of your own, make sure to go unlock your access to Julie's 6 must-have resources for female entrepreneurs. These resources will help you build and grow your business with simplicity and ease. You can find them at juliecbutler.com/freebie vault. We'll see you in the next episode.